Well, hello guys and welcome to the channel. Now, recently in the news, or recent, it'll be a few weeks ago now, when this goes up, Stagecoach announced that they're getting 105, if I remember rightly, fully electric buses. Now, that's great. I'm all for the electric bus, you know, but Johnny, who's been to York, has been using electric buses, and they do have the drawbacks, and they do have the goods. You know, the good for the air pollution. You know, quiet, tend to be much nicer. They all tend to have a little diesel generator in them for heating, etc. Except me, I'm walking around. So, I'm a gas tree. So, they all tend to have the little generators. I don't know which of the buses that we're getting, not a clue. However, that's just one of them. I know we're getting quite a few of them, and from an old tram depot that took down its overhead lines to charge them, to going into putting a load of charging points in that are probably like the overhead style ones, because that seems to be the way that they charge buses, with like a pantograph that goes up and charges it from there, because you can get really high current from that scenario. So we've gone from trolleybus days, diesel days, and we're going back to charging probably from the roof. Now, we've already had the electric bus. They were called trolleybuses. Many of people won't remember them, some people will. I'm for one that don't. But I do know a bit about them, and the trolleybuses was a very... Again, they had the drawbacks, they were good, you know. They were fully electric buses. Draw the powers from overhead. They couldn't do diversions though. Unless there was trolley wires, they couldn't do diversions. That is a little bit of a downside to them. So, Manchester's going to get this 105 electric buses by 2024, something like that, I think it was. Not too sure, don't quote me, I'm not going off any paper for this, I'm just trying to remember what I've read. So, they'll be spread out amongst the depots, because obviously you can't put 105 charging points in one place, because that will just go mental. And could you imagine the electric bill? Not as much as the diesel bill though, so there's a positive side. One drawback I see to them is that in Manchester city centre now, buses are quite loud, you know, diesel engines roaring, you know, they're loud, and people still walk out in front of us oblivious to the fact we're there, moving, bibbing at them because we've nearly knocked them over. They're still oblivious to it. So can you imagine what it's going to be like when we get fully electric, fully quiet ones? Because technically we have already got electric buses, we've got the hybrids. Hybrid technology means they're supposed to drive on their batteries under, I think it's 10 mile an hour. Supposed to drive around on the batteries. So in theory you should be able to go around bus stations on the batteries, but they tend to kick in before that. Now, batteries have been a sore point for many things, the hoverboards, etc., where they've gone up in flames. Now, stuff like that happens for lots of reasons. Batteries tend to be shorted, which tends to be what makes them go up. So, as long as everything's done properly, I can't see any issues with them as fact. The one thing that Johnny has said to me about them is when he was in York, you could only get a few trips out of the batteries in the electric buses, so that was a downside to them. Because you'd do a few trips and then you'd have to change bus again. Maybe even one trip and change a bus. So that's maybe a downside to them, possibly. But it depends on what technology they've come out. Because you could possibly fit them with a dynamo, so they could regain some of their charge whilst driving or whilst braking. Like the Priuses do. Is it Prius? Yeah, Prius does. So there's no official facts or anything left on what the buses really are going to contain, apart from they are going to be fully electric. Ooh, private helicopter. And I do actually quite look forward to seeing what they come out with. Like I say, I'm all for it. It's a gimmick, innit? Fully electric, you know. I'd go for a fully electric car, but I live 10 miles from work, so I couldn't charge it. And I live on the 4th floor. So could you imagine dangling an extension lead out to charge it? With no car parking space, they're not going to put in a charging point for me, are they? So, yeah, you can imagine how that's going to work. So, it's going to be interesting to see what comes. I mean, they should technically start arriving quite soon, really, because it takes a while to make a bus, and 105 of them, it's going to be a lot. Be interesting to see if they've got the new style white LEDs in, which most new vehicles seem to be having. Arriva's got white LEDs, London's got white LEDs now, I believe. So that's interesting to see what is actually going to come out from that. Let me check my times. So that will be interesting to see what actually comes. I think I've got to go. I do, in a few minutes. So that'll be interesting. Oh, I've got my finger now. So that'll be interesting to see what actually comes of them and what spec they're in. I very much doubt they'll have all USB chargings and that. Leather seats seems to be the thing at the moment. Slash-proof leather seats. Although don't go testing that, I don't think we've got any. But I've heard it's a thing. I know they do slash-proof jackets and all that. So I'm sure they'll make it so it's a seat as well. Which that would help a lot of maintenance, because a lot of seats do get slashed and damaged. So if they can come up with like a lever that stops that, that would be much better. Maybe your fares might go down. You never know. So we've just got to play it by ear. But yeah, 105 electric buses should be good. Until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.
That is.